Hello, lovelies. Welcome to the Sacred Unweaving podcast, where we unearth these deep truths and programs in order to find a more whole, embodied version of ourselves. I have the fantastic Lynda Barrus on. She is such a beautiful, delightful soul that I've gotten to know even deeper in this last year. She is an integrative healing arts practitioner, a light language practitioner, a Reiki master, and a wellness activator. Lynda has developed such an understanding for the human body and activating her own healer within while experiencing chronic illness, including trauma, divorce, burnout, near death experiences, and a breast cancer survivor. And her near death experiences and breast cancer, including metastatic breast cancer. Through the challenges in her body, she's developed this deep spiritual connection. And she's become a master of learning so much grace and resilience in spiritual awakening and activating a higher consciousness to bring families and communities together who are experiencing something similar to this. So I'm so excited for you to be on and share this much needed wisdom for all of us.
I am absolutely thrilled to be here with you today. So excited to be able to share my story and just be in alignment with what my guides and my team, my soul self is wanting me to do and to share. And so receiving so many downloads and channeled messages that I'm bursting at the seams to be able to share all of it. So grateful to be here and start this journey.
I love it. And I love that you are here physically because you had a near death experience and calling them a near death awakening and understanding your journey with cancer. And I love that you have a perspective that so many of us are either ignorant to because we haven't experienced it, or so many have been through that journey. And at the end, sometimes the treatment and the process of experiencing cancer is so much more intense than the actual disease. So tell us a little bit more about your journey.
So my journey, yes, I just to start with the cancer journey, because I mean we listed near death experiences, and this is going back to early childhood, to going back to just the cancer experience because that's what I'm currently walking alongside of. Started in 2008, where I found a tumor just months after my youngest child was born. And finding that tumor, not and being in a very toxic marriage, living with an alcoholic, having all of that frustration and resentment and stuff building up already, and then finding out that there's this growth within me that is cancerous, and not being so in tune with my intuition, my guides, my support, and really pushing that off, just trying to live within the human life and doing those mom duties, trying just to survive and not knowing how to do that, having elevated emotions and feelings that I wasn't able to express. And so I pushed all of that down, and for whatever I signed up for, it came out in this tumor and breast cancer. I had the tumor removed. I did choose at that time chemotherapy and radiation, out of sorts with myself and not connected to my higher self, to my soul self. I was not listening within, and I went to that cancer panel. If anyone's gone through cancer or been a caregiver, there was a cancer panel that I drugged my ex-husband, who was not wanting to be there with me. Let's hurry and get this done so I can get back home and drink. But we sat in front of that panel, and they gave me a list of things that, if you do this chemo and radiation, then you have a 90% chance of, have the tumor removed, you do this. And they listed out all these percentages of survival rate. Well, that's freaking scary to begin with. And not being connected to my body or to my intuition, just went with, I've got this brand new baby. I've got two teenage kids at home to take care of. I want the outcome to be that I'm living.
Mhm.
At that time, I was afraid of death. I didn't understand it. I was living in chaos. I just wanted to live. I wanted to be there for my children. So I chose the chemo, radiation, and surgery, had that all removed. Within a year, I had that all wrapped up. It was a wild ride. That was a lot to do in 1 year. I would go in on Wednesdays, have the chemo treatment, and be back to work. I worked full time the whole taught as a special education teacher, which is not an
Mhm.
easy job. It's pretty stressful, but I would go in on Wednesdays for treatments. I was just surviving. Wednesday for treatments, taking care of an infant, managing that toxic relationship, just stuffing every ounce of emotion and feeling down. That was all 2008. I wrapped up radiation the end of 2008. And once I started coming out of that, I was able to find my voice, my little voice inside. Little Lynda, like we just gave you this big sign that you're not in alignment with what you need to be doing, because that's what that was. Any disease that is in our bodies is a sign to get us back into alignment. It's not trying to kill us off. It's not about being cured. It's about getting back to wholeness and oneness. And I sort of understood that in 2009 when I came out of that. And I was able to go in and use some modalities. I used some energy healing that at that time I was using crystals and oils to heal myself from the chemotherapy and radiation, knowing, but not knowing that that was what was helping me. It was just
It was also
brought to
healing
me
the
this.
body. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I, you
So
know,
I worked on that. It gives me chills to think about. I wasn't Googling things. It was just natural remedies and things that were coming to me. I was open to it, but I didn't have a way to explain it or talk to anybody. I hid crystals around my house because my ex-husband and his family would have like had a fit if they found it. So
it's like,
crystals
I'm just going to
and
experiment with this and see what
yeah,
works. And it's
right.
interesting too, because most of the clients I have that have experienced cancer and have been healing it, I've noticed this pattern of there is some part of us that is stuffing and suppressing, that's not acknowledging our life in front of us, that's not expressing how we really feel. Just put on a happy face. I used to have it in my own journal. It said right on the cover, smile now, cry later. And it's like, nope,
Mhm.
I'll just deal with this later. I'll just deal with this later. And then the cells are actually mutated cells. So they replicate that mutation, and the mutation holds all of this stuffed garbage that we're sticking in and that we're not processing. So I love that you point out, like, oh, actually, looking at healing something means that I wasn't stuffing anything anymore. And here's your sign that you've reached maximum capacity of what you've held inside. And we're going to explode and cut it out, literally.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Literally cut it out, get rid of it. And with the chemo, I look back at that now that I'm walking through this experience that started January. Well, I was diagnosed officially January 24. I feel that the chemotherapy was what really, I mean, people look at it and they think, oh my gosh, chemo, you shouldn't be doing that. It's horrible for you. But it took me back to a zero state. It not homeostasis, but it took me back, like it was able to flush and clear everything out. It sets, like it kills everything off.
Letting
And
part
so
of
I
you die. Yeah.
right. And so another near death experience right there, an awakening, near death awakening that allowed me to get on a new path. It allowed me to pivot. So I don't regret having the chemotherapy. Would I do it to that capacity? No. But I am doing a really small dose now that is mixed with a hormone blocker that I do every 3 weeks. So that's a part of my treatment. But I also am combining this round with a lot of other modalities. I'm using the Reiki, I'm using the sacred perspective healing technique, I'm using light language, I'm listening to divine guidance and the galactic team and just everything that is coming in. I'm listening to all of that now on this journey. Like it's just so profound. Those two different experiences to look at how different going through that soul walking, like walking through the fire. And I don't have to be too much anymore. The chaos, like I can embrace it. I love it. I am not too much. I am not too broken. I'm not too late. I'm not too sick. Like I'm just where I need to be. And I get to show up in that way because my healing is always unfolding. And even if it looks messy to someone, it's not to me. The chaos is not there. It's my magic. And healing from the inside out this time is like it's a beautiful magical experience. It's something that is, when I talk to people about the journey that I'm taking and my mindset, I get either like a welcoming smile or I get this mouth drop that they don't understand. They're like, I can't grasp that.
Yeah, how is
Because I
that
don't,
socially for you? The difference between last time and this time, following what all the panel of people say is the thing to
right.
do versus following your own intuition. How is that different this time?
Mm, it's so good. It's like so magical. I do have to mention that on that list of paper, I brought it out and I took it into my oncologist. The very bottom thing that panel listed, the hormone treatment that I have been currently taking, that hormone treatment back in 2008, they told me it was only a 10% survival rate. And that is what is supporting me now. It along with all the other things, like looking at that, if just interesting to see that it was at the bottom and it was only 10% survival rate there. This round, as I'm using my intuition, it's all intuitively guided. I run the show. And my doctor, my oncologist that I'm seeing is someone that I did see back in 2008. I have a really good relationship with her. The PAs that I'm working with are getting to know me and know that I'm interviewing them. You can give me the information and I will tap in to myself and I will decide, is this a treatment or a process or a procedure that my body is ready for or in alignment with? I've said no several times to something that they've offered. And there's no regret because I get to show up who I want to be within this body, knowing that in 2024, just after my diagnosis, I was not meant to walk past this diagnosis in January of 2024. I was given an opportunity while I was in the hospital to decide if I wanted to stay here on this earth or if I wanted to move on and support from there. So this went on for a couple of days with coming in and out of awareness and in dream state and walking with my guides. At that time, I really needed to go deep and decide if there was fear for dying or if there was fear for living. And with a cancer diagnosis and with near-death experiences, what I have come to learn is it's more of that fear of living. We talked about that. We're stuffing down all those emotions and feelings. And why are we doing that? Is it the societal norms? It's the projection of others that are in our life. It's the strings that are attached. It's what we're stuffing down. And so during this time while I was in the hospital, I was able to come to terms with knowing that I had a fear of living. I didn't want to go through that again. And so it was now I got to make the changes that I had been working towards and really making intuitive, self-guided choices. So that going back to your question about what the difference was between 2008 and this current experience is that I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust my intuition. I didn't trust my gut, hence the shoving and stuffing and not wanting to be here. In 2008, I took a lot of guidance, unwanted guidance from others because I didn't trust myself. It wasn't in alignment for me. So that's the biggest difference. I was doing breath work. I was doing meditations. I was eating healthy. I was using essential oils and crystals in 2008, but there wasn't that other deeper trust. I was just going through the motions. I was just surviving, and I was doing a really poor job at surviving. If we're going to be completely honest, it was pretty poor back at everything. It was not really, I don't even know what to call it. It was
I
like
was
zombie.
existing. I was
Yes,
existing,
existing. Yes,
existing
absolutely.
versus living. Well, and I love that
Right.
you mentioned that trust because I find that all of us have some type of lack of trust in ourselves that we develop. I mean, society says somebody else knows better than you. So you need to go to school, you need to follow it this way. You join religion, you need to follow the leader of the religion. Even you're being mentored by somebody and you can only follow them and do it their way, right? And
Yes.
so, how did you move through that? Because I know one of the biggest challenges we have with trust is we trust ourselves, we move forward, and things don't work out the way we planned or the way we expected. So then we instantly have a betrayal of our own self trust. And we say, oh, I should just trust everybody else and listen to everybody else over myself because I didn't get what I wanted. Or even when people betray us and they hurt us, we say, well, it's my fault for trusting them when I shouldn't. So it's still my fault. And that's a way we form control is by not trusting, or freedom from guilt and responsibility later by not trusting ourselves. So how did that trust piece develop? Because I know that there's people watching or listening that are like, I don't trust myself. What do I do about it? And I don't want cancer, so I have to learn it.
Yes.
Can you give me a tip? How does one develop that, or how did you develop that?
It took many years. I'm not gonna lie. Between 2008, walked away from the toxic marriage into 2012. It took me, like, I realized in 2008, like, this is why I have cancer, because he's cancerous. Our relationship is cancerous, and did not walk away until 2012. It took me that long to get enough confidence and trust in myself to do that. For me, the starting point was with him being an alcoholic. I joined Al-Anon. And so they have 12-step program. So I used that program was my starting point. I did have I and through that I had remembrances of different experiences of trusting myself and my intuition from a childhood. And so that started coming back up because that was stuffed between like teenage years and marriage. So it was stuff. There was still things there as I'm looking back. But that's where it started was with Al-Anon with a 12-step program. And so walking through that, giving myself grace with checking in with myself. One of the questions that has been very supportive in my journey is always asking what my body needs right now. I remember asking this back in 2008. And along the way, when autoimmune diagnoses came up, after in between cancer experiences, chronic disease, even anxiety, what does my body need right now? Is this mine or is this somebody else's? And those those questions really supported the progress, the growth of trusting myself. And I would play games with my kids on using our intuition. Not really sure, like trusting, like should we turn right? Are we going to turn left? Just things where we could play like in using our intuition to build that trust, um, and connecting that way.
Yeah, where there wasn't so much pressure to make the right choice, but
Right.
you can actually enjoy seeing the intuition that's naturally there, that gnosis of knowing which way to go and what to do. But as soon as we put pressure on, and I mean, in your case, it was like life or death pressure, make the right choice. I mean, that would shut down, I think, a lot of us. And so
But yeah,
being able to make it joyful and playful, I really love that.
yeah. I do feel that that was, and it was bringing back in the listening to going through the 12 steps, taking what resonated with me always taking what resonated. I have to say that I didn't follow the 12 steps. I am a manifesting generator and I skip steps and I pivot and I multitask. And so I took what I needed and just totally left the rest. And I really advise that to anybody, whatever, like tapping into your gut, like really feeling within your body and asking yourself what your body needs right now. You're going to feel it. If you sit in that stillness, it's going to come. It might feel scary, it might feel fearful, but sometimes that's what it feels like that nudge that we need to be able to step through. It's not fear. It feels like it,
Like
that it's in your
urgency.
body. Yeah, the urgency. And I think getting through that bridge, like understanding that this isn't a fear that is trying to save me. It's it's the acknowledgement that there is change that's coming, and I get to act upon that. And
Mhm.
so initiating that, those feelings, and differentiating really what is fear, what is it, am I safe in this moment? And can I take this step forward?
Mm.
Supported a lot, those nudges of emotions, being able to just trust, and really playing with my kids. That was like just going into the joy state and knowing this is not going to harm me. These are choices that we get to make. Are we going to eat this? Are we going to eat this? Are we going to turn left? Are we going to turn right? Are we going to go down this aisle or this aisle? Think of a number. Let me guess your number. Just playing these little games with them um, helped
So
build the trust back.
so that you're building the muscle and you're not just flipping a switch, but you're building it over time. I love that.
Yeah.
So as you're in this trust state and this higher consciousness and this higher vibration, and then now you get to go to the low vibration of doctors and medical. How do
Yeah.
you navigate that piece? Here I am, I'm vibrating so high, and you're not even going to understand. You may look at me weird, but I also have to play here for this medical treatment that is going to offer support for my body. How do you navigate bridging that where you don't feel like you're shut down or you're being ridiculed or you have to second guess yourself when you do get that trust and you do get that information from your body? Or is it just natural because you're like, my body says this and I trust it implicitly?
Yeah. Um, I would say like 90% of the time I'm pretty good when I walk into the doctor's office or go into treatment. There definitely was a period of time, and I know that this is common for people that have chronic disease that are going to doctors over and over again. There's this, and I'm sure there's a term for it, but this anxiety of the what ifs prior to going to an appointment, going to a treatment, going to get a new test done. There's a period of time before that that stirs up this anxiousness. And what I started doing during that time was to really increase my meditation and my mindfulness time, using affirmations, using frequencies, drumming, doing whatever I could to really heighten my frequency and vibration 24 to 48 hours before those appointments. So my mindset, even like going back to the phrase fake it till you make it, comes from Al-Anon, comes from um and I've used like faking it until you make it is, I had a different sense of that. It is
I'm like,
really
I hope so, because I'm like, I really didn't like that phrase.
because it does. It feels kind of icky. It feels
Embrace what you
icky,
want
but
until what you
you
want
do.
shows up.
And you're taking action. It's not just, instead of saying like I feel like crap today, or I'm okay, I'm happy, that sprinkle, the fake glitter stuff, fake it till you make it, but really being honest with yourself. And I would feel like I wouldn't go clear over on this extreme, but I would take it a notch up. And so we want to be experiencing where we want to go. And so that's the way that I kind of saw it. If this is where I want to be happy, healthy, and well, then this is what I'm going to be living in, because I know that my body is going to hear that and I'm going to get back to homeostasis quicker if I'm in that higher frequency. But if I feel like shit, I'm going to feel like shit. And that's okay. If I'm not feeling like I can be in that awareness of happy, healthy, and well, then that happy can be mediocre. I can be in tears. I can be having those feelings. That's what I just walked away from, of stuffing all that down, right? So I'm feeling that, and the fake it till you make it part was like letting that all go and then stepping into that space of that higher vibration. And doing that 24 to 48 hours before appointments, before doctor's visits, treatments, things like that helps me get in there. I use my Reiki. I Reiki the oncology office all the time. Symbols are all over the place. I show up to my appointment 10, 15, 20 minutes early, sit and just meditate, send light language and codes to the area. There's been a couple times that I wasn't able to do that because of other appointments, and it feels like it was chaotic in there that I didn't like. Things didn't go smoothly. So I know for me, it makes a huge difference to do that. Um, allowing allowing myself to be in the moment and letting go of expectations has also been profound in getting through these treatments. I know that when I let go of those expectations, like quote unquote, like not a decent result comes in, then I can take it easier because I know that this journey is up and down, it waxes and wanes. And having the difference of my experience now is with metastatic breast cancer, my diagnosis is indefinite per the medical world. Um, so as long as I walk this earth, they say that I'm going to be walking it alongside of this cancer. In 2008, the tumor was removed. I had a date where they told me that I was in remission and that I no longer had cancer. So, two different ways to walk through those doors, going in and sitting in that chair, listening to the others that are around me and sharing my insight with the doctors, with the PAs, my perspective in a more positive light, sharing that with the other people that are sitting with me in that chemo room, the infusion room. It fills my bucket. That gives me joy. It gives me light. It gives me hope to be able to share that, and not holding that in. It's one of the things that I agreed to be here on this earth to walk through, is to share my story, to share my light, to share my experiences and perspectives. And anybody can do what they want with it. But I know that getting that message out is to those that I come in contact with is my purpose. It's what I'm meant to do while I'm here walking this journey. So going back to your question,
I was about to ask
how
another
would you like,
question.
you have another
I was
one?
gonna, yeah. Well, I was gonna say that that answers one of the questions I was gonna ask. Like, do you ever sit and wonder, hey, is the reason I'm experiencing this so that my being, my Reiki, my healing is in this office to help support somebody else in their healing? And you just answered
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I feel strongly. So I'm going to go back to 2008. 2008, I went to an oncologist office that had 4 chairs. They were set up so that we could overlook the valley. It was up at Altaview Hospital, if you're familiar with Salt Lake. It looked over the valley, but there were 4 chairs. I attended when I would go in on Wednesdays. There was this beautiful woman that was always there. I think it was her 4th cancer journey. She shared with me the secret. She shared with me so many profound messages that, I mean, she was just an angel. She was just this angel walking the earth. And I learned so much from her that I knew in January of 24 that that's what I was meant to do. So sharing the light with not only everyone that I come in contact with, if I go in for a scan, if I go into um, sit in the oncology, if I sit in the office and there's somebody, I get to spark that, even if it's just eye contact or, I love your shirt, your hair is gorgeous, whatever it might be. or having a conversation with them about my experiences. That is, that's my, that's my purpose. That's my mission. And looking back at 2008, I had gone through, which I think a lot of people do when they get a diagnosis like this. If it's not cancer, if it's something else that is, it's a long-term something that disrupts your daily life. We wonder why the hell, like we've done these things, like why me, why me? And I just invite anybody to switch that. It's another thing that has helped is not the why me's. It's like, what do I get to learn from this? And what do I get to share? It becomes part of our message, and we get to share that with anyone and everyone who wants to listen or not listen and be in our who comes into our energetic world. We get to share that, and it really invite anybody to switch that, no matter what the diagnosis is, whatever the chronic ailment is, the dis-ease. As you awaken to it, shift that
Mm.
from the why me's to how can I serve? How is this serving me? How can it serve others?
And that's so powerful. And I've been able to witness you being that beacon of hope and light for others. And it's really hard for someone to have a pity party and say, why me, when they're sitting in a chair next to you. So I love that you've been able to be there for them and help them see that they're not alone on this journey. So thank you. Thank you. Is there anything else that you feel like you want to share out there for anybody that might be experiencing chronic health issues or trying to activate their intuition, or even what am I going to do with my life and do I want to live? Anything for them?
Just invite you to go into a state of meditation, of mindfulness, and just really work on, even if it's 5 minutes at a time, it does not need to be, just to come into stillness for even a minute. Tune into your breath and notice any of those sensations that are in your body, and go back to that question that I shared earlier. What does my body need right now? Um, just profound. I think it comes out where we get to notice those shifts, get those nudges to build that muscle to connect to our intuition. And intuition has been the biggest thing for me with the resilience. It's really been life-changing, connecting to the intuition. It's so natural, that muscle memory is there. And so, yes, go back to that question, practice stillness, and ask, what does your body need right now?
My body usually answers a nap and tacos. I don't know.
All the time, right?
What does
Well,
my
that's
body
what
need?
we
A
need
nap
to.
and some tacos. Okay.
It's all
Well,
right.
can't argue
I'll
with
do it.
intuition. Thank
Yes.
you for being on. And how can people find you? I know you're on the beautyperspective.com practitioner page. Where else can you be found if people wanted to get in touch or if they're going through something and have questions?
Yeah, I am going to be showing up on Instagram. I have a YouTube channel, and I have recently started Substack with a blog that I'm creating. So those are the three best ways to find me, or to reach out. My website is on the Beauty Perspective website. And so you can find me through that, contact me with any questions, with interest in mentoring or one-on-one sessions.
Awesome. And we'll have all the
Open.
links for you there. Thank you so much, Lynda. I appreciate you being on and
Thank you.
sharing so much
I
of your
appreciate
powerful journey.
Thank you so much for letting me share, and look forward to meeting anyone who wants to reach out. Thank you.